Feminism is the belief of equality between all genders in the gender spectrum. The notion that being feminine makes you less of a person needs to be eliminated from today's societal values if we are to make it that much closer to achieving the peace and security humanity yearns for. Since the dawn of gender norms, toxic beliefs about the line between men and women have been appropriated over and over until it became so widespread we accept it into our everyday life. Contrary to vague belief, strong, three-dimensional women exist today and have always existed throughout history. Nefertiti, the wife of an ancient pharaoh, is easily one of the most famous icons of her time. She represents feminine beauty, and her name literally translates to "the beautiful one has come." Despite her missing eye, researchers applaud her face for being perfectly symmetrical and elegant. She was queen alongside Pharaoh Akhenaten from 1353 to 1336 BC, and may have ruled the New Kingdom outright after her husband's death. Her reign was a time of tremendous cultural upheaval, as Akhenaten reoriented Egypt's religious and political structure around the worship of the sun god. Much like Nefertiti, Frida Kahlo wears the face of a culture.
Frida Kahlo, a massive icon for feminism as well as Mexican and Amerindian culture, has been seen for years as a new take on the female form and how diverse it can be. She represented herself as she was because she knew herself best. She suffered from a tragic past and frequent bouts of depression, but still managed to bring passion to her work and inspire. Her image has been used repeatedly, and she has been widely recognized since her death. People use her face respectfully in remembrance or in advocacy towards gender equality. Her ties are those that don't fit in the socially accepted status quo. She made her facial hair beautiful, or at the very least a reality. Not all women are hairless and fit into a clearly defined stencil.
The sculpture of Yakshi is most known in the Sati Stupa. She is a nature spirit wearing clothing that emphasizes her femininity. Here we get a look at something that is viewed as circumstantially beautiful, a curvy female figure. Her hips, thighs, and breasts are large in size, which would hold some country for the year, but in India is seen as the epitome of femininity and beauty. She is an icon of eroticism, fertility, and at the same time chastity and grace. Her image has been used for centuries for inspiration to create similar works that speak the same message. This depiction of a strong, powerful, iconic woman of color forwards the power of representation. Liberty Leading the People by Eugene Delacroix is an homage to the revolt in Paris in 1830. The main focus of this painting is the woman, Liberty. She holds up the French flag and leads the people forward in the revolt. The light shines brightest on her, and she's the pivotal, crucial part of the painting. What we see here is a woman taking charge, and for the time period, it is bound to turn the heads. Also for the time period, women were being painted as rosy-cheeked and naked quite often. What purpose does having her topless serve to the message of the peace? In a culture where everyone, not just women, are being sexualized, does it make apparent random exposure okay?
Cindy Sherman's work reenacts roles for women that are given to women by the media. In this one, we see the quote-unquote traditional housewife. This photograph critiques the stereotypes as they can create a negative portrayal of women, constricting women in a box. The photograph suggests, but at the same time challenges the notion that women are flat, one-dimensional, prim beings with no depth. It's so often an unconscious stereotype, but here we see it brought to the surface, stripping the viewer raw from "I feel this is a woman's place" to "Why do I feel this is a woman's place, and could I be wrong?"
This seemingly bizarre piece of performance art at first reinforces the gender roles we as a species impress upon each other. They divide by gender, with women building nests and men salvaging up a car. The experiment takes a turn when the two groups begin to fight, at first passive-aggressively by ruining each other's respective domains, then physically, until the tumult becomes too much and a car catches on fire. The realization of their destructive nature brings both groups to a halt. The artist, Alan Caprow, leaves interpretation to the viewer. Our takeaway is that the forcing of certain and very restrictive customs will lead to unrest and ultimately to the unraveling of the self into chaos. Now, the pushback we see from the general community after such things as the recent shootings represent escalation and the promise of an eventual climax that threatens our would-be peace and security. Images such as Hannah Wilkes' Intravenous forces the viewer to see mortality and beauty for what they are, fleeting. She expresses the shame in dying in the way she poses, as a healthy woman would in an attempt to be provocative, illustrating that as a society we prefer our women young, slim, and healthy, and any image to the contrary is taboo or unsettling. Wilk loudly paints the picture that death and sickness repulses, and the reality that comes with it. That people, but particularly women, are fancy things to be kept on a shelf, but are put away the moment they break or become in any way deformed or upsetting.
This image, Just in Blonde by Catherine Opie, explores the resonance of a cross-dressing male. Identifying as and being female is possible even if you weren't born as such. Biologically, it doesn't matter, and what this piece shows is a subject in an upright, almost softly provocative position with perfect curls and a smile. Culturally, the Western ideal of a perfect woman. This piece relates to feminism on the level that the trans community and those who occasionally, frequently, and always identify themselves as female, or those who ally with feminist ideals, demand to be seen and be part of society rather than being judged and harassed.
Kruger creates a political slogan, "Your body is a battleground," that encapsulates the conflicts that surround women, sexuality, and reproduction. Women are in a constant battle with their image that can deeply affect them mentally and physically. The woman in the photograph glares straight to the viewer, forcing them to identify with the image and make a stance on the issue. This is a protest statement, an advocacy for women's rights in today's society, daring anyone to disagree or challenge the basis of both good and bad body image.
Do we need to be naked to get into the Met Museum? Excellent question. Apparently so. We as a culture need to ask ourselves what we think makes women inherently less than men, what justifies lesser pay, or the acceptance of the social necessity of a rape whistle or pepper spray. This piece loudly critiques the way things are done in the modern world with regards to women. Western civilization has come a long way. There was once a time when cockfighting was illegal, but domestic abuse was not. But still, the scales are unbalanced. The sooner we can acknowledge this, the sooner we can take steps towards fixing the problem and bringing about peace. We are not done evolving into true equality between the genders, and for that, we need feminism. Click the link in the description for more videos, blogs, and pieces dedicated to feminism and the trouble with gender roles.